Mm. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode and the last episode of this season of the things we don't want to talk about. Yes, like I am so, I could just breathe right now. It's so many things. How do I start? Where do I start? This was a season for the books. I would definitely say this was a season for the books. I started, well, one, I told y'all know I did my 6-month break and then I started it and I was nervous for a while. So just to see now my growth and my personal growth, probably the growth y'all even seeing me or y'all hearing me and me doing the visuals, I'm really proud of this year. And shameless plug, I was not proud of my first 4 episodes. I'm like, this sounds so repetitive. Don't have that one that's a it. But I end up really, really, really rocking out. And I'm just so happy that I started to. Because I'm like, do I even want to go back to the podcast? I knew I wanted to, but I kept delaying and it kept delaying. And it's crazy how time goes. Like, imagine, y'all, it was 6 months I took a break. Like, what did you do during that 6-month time? Accountability. But really more so at this point of life where I'm at, I feel like I finally have found my place. I feel like I know what I should be doing. I feel like I'm hearing God clearly. I feel like everything makes sense right now and I am exactly where I'm supposed to be at. So it's funny because I'm expecting something tomorrow and I'm thinking about it. I want to say I was getting ready, preparing for that about maybe 6 to 8 months ago, probably even a year when I first had talked about it. And it's like everything is now coming into fruition. And the things that I've been wanting and the things that I've been looking for, I'm finally seeing my plants grow. Like they have grown, I should say. So I planted the seed, I watered it, you know what I'm saying? We had some dry spells because it was life. So dang, my flowers fell off, right? And I replanted again. It was blossoming, but it was a slow one. You know what I'm saying? And each time I had one little rose and one rose, and now I have a beautiful bouquet. And it's like I can say I'm happy, and I'm not someone that says that pretty often. I know this, but at this point in life, I am happy. And I feel like season 4 about to even be more amazing because of where I am with life. And hopefully, honestly, throughout my thing, I always said, like, I don't care if I only have one listener per episode, as long as that one person has got something to make them want to be better or to make them think differently or to inspire them just for change, right? In whatever avenue and whatever way that looks like for them, I have done the right thing. So, with this episode, this is a best of episode of season 3 of the things we do not want to talk about. It is the one. So, we are going to. Yes, it's your girl. It's your I love the sound effects, y'all. I look forward to them. So I want to go over my best of this season. So we're going to get started with episode 1. So I'm gonna play a clip, y'all. Y'all gonna be like, oh my God, I heard that. You remember that? And I want to just talk about different things that were going on during this time. So here is to my best of, starting with episode 1, The Breakthrough. Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 3 of the things we do not want to talk about. Where do I start? I haven't been on here in so long. I feel like I'm starting over again. I think because I went like so long without doing a new season. It's been literally 6 months. Last time was October. I don't know. One, I'm happy. Thank you for everyone that has been continuously listening to the podcast. I still check my stats. Thank you for not forgetting about me. I'll just get like a random message here and there, like, "Hey, Ken, like, when is the podcast coming back?" Or my good friend Chanel, she'll tell me something about it, like, "Chinga, stop playing. Like, get back on the podcast." Y'all, that time there, I think that first episode I mentioned me moving back home. Y'all, that was the hardest thing I want to say I did during the season. So I don't usually say year, I say seasons, because with me, it all depends on my season, not necessarily the year, because one season can go on to the next year. I feel like I was just losing it, right? Financially, I was starting to see like, okay, stuff changing. Like this, how you was living for this amount of time is no longer here. And it was starting to see in the flesh. And I feel like I thought I had a grip on life and I let it go. So it's so funny comparing it to, what was that? I had to be October, I think, of 2022. When did I drop that, y'all? Let's see. I want to say it was October. I noticed at that point, I still didn't get it. I thought I was learning my lessons God needed me to learn when it came to money, because I'm okay, he helped me again, right? I fell and he picked me back up, but I really wasn't learning. So I feel like this time I'm just now able to like think clearly and like move in the way he wants me to move. And that was hard for me because it was a big pride and an ego hit for me. I didn't want to move home. I was just now in my let's see, met July, August, September, October. No, July, August, September, October. I was just now getting to like the meat of like the root of like my guy who I've been dealing with. And I was starting to see that. It was a lot. So I feel like I was hanging on to a thread without realizing I'm on this really thin line. And I was going through a lot, y'all, at the time. I feel like I was so frustrated. I wasn't happy. I was starting my process of unlearning myself. So throughout this season, it was like what used to be no longer exists, and this is now the new life. And I lied, y'all, that was not October. I did season 3. I started it in April, right? So April. Right. Okay. Yeah. So from season 2 was what I was going through. So season 2 was the time where I was hitting my rock point. I was hitting like roughly I was going to rock bottom. April was when I was starting to get more clarity. But during that time of like the October to April, it was real hard for me. Okay. So now let's go to my episode 2. We all make sacrifices. When I'm like, girl, get your stuff together. Conversation. I'm like, okay, wow, I like that, right? I'm scrolling on Instagram. I had just got out the shower and I was looking at a video that just came on my timeline, and it was about sacrifice and like knowing when God wants you to sacrifice something for you to go to that next level in life. So I'm like, dang, is this a sign, right? And I'm always saying, in order for me to come up with my next episode I'm going to record, it has to be something that I keep seeing or something that's happening during that time of those 2 weeks until it's time for me to release, for me to come up with a really good segment. So as I watched the video of hers and I'm listening to it, I'm like, dang, that really relates to, what my grandma was saying. So I'm okay, sacrifice, quarter 2, things are different, right? So as I was going over that and I was listening, where I was replaying a conversation that that was going on in my head, I was thinking about the quote that she said. And this was the quote that had resonated with me most. In the video, she said, before God elevates you and fulfills your heart desires, he wants to know, what are you willing to sacrifice for him, right? And Mm. Let's talk about that quote, y'all. So when I was listening to that, like I said, I always say God speaks through you, through his word, through people, through situations and experiences. And when she told me that, I was just thinking like, wow, that is the truth. So sometimes when you think about where we want to get in, where we want to go in life, we can see that part clearly, right? Like, oh, I want this big thing. I want this glamorous. I want this type of car. I want this type of health. I want this type of relationship, blah, 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 blah. But usually what we don't think about and the things that go like out of our head or things we don't want to really pay attention to, it's like, what do I have to do to get there? And most of the times the following question is, what do I have to sacrifice to get there? Because usually doing the things that always have worked for us or doing the things that are easy does not get us to where we need to be. Nothing that I have came and that was something that was admirable, something that was my most precious thing, it didn't come easy. And that's usually because if it was easy, everyone would do it. Right? In the words of E.T., in the words of Inky Johnson, my new motivational speaker I've been listening to, it's like when we don't know the value of something, we let it slip away. When we don't have to be disciplined, we don't have to really create a system that will work in order for something to happen, we will always lose it. So when you think about sacrifice, think about what is the thing that is most respected? What is the thing that is your temptation? What's the thing that makes your discipline be weak, right? And how do you want to reward yourself? So when I was thinking about sacrifice, even thinking about now, it's like, what are you willing to give up to create that comfortability or that long-term success? Like now where we're at, especially about to be quarter 4 and be 2024, wow, it's like, what sacrifices are you still making? What are things that you can sacrifice now so that you can get to this end of the year better than you started, right? Or getting ready to prepare for that next journey. I said before on the episode, a couple episodes ago, I was talking about like how like I'm starting my life over now. I did it was the last episode. I'm not waiting until 2024. I created a vision board with my sister last month, and I was just like, I'm getting prepared. No, it was this month. And it's just like I'm getting prepared for what I want now. So don't ever think about only a certain time you can restart. You restart whenever your life needs to restart. It doesn't have a deadline, a beginning or end. So that's where we at. It made me think about finding my voice. And thinking about all the times that I was silent in various situations. So not just in an intimate relationship, but also looking at friendships, looking at how we deal with people in our families, dealing with businesses, however the case may be. But this idea of like finding your voice and finding the strength and the backbone to be able to say things. So that was the first part. I'm okay. I think this is really circling around this idea of like speak up for yourself, right, and talking up. But then I also went out to dinner with my friend Chanel. She's so amazing. And she was talking about like going into spaces where you are celebrated versus tolerated. And that made me think of it again when she was like, sometimes I just feel like, I do want to speak up, or there are certain things that I want to say, or like now I'm going through this space of like a grieving period because I feel like the people who I thought would be there, or the people I want them to do these certain things, they really are not. And that kind of made me think about a lot of the situations I have found myself in as well, in terms of like self sabotage, right? And when we think of self sabotage, it's like doing things that do not honor our higher selves, our highest selves, or doing things that don't align to where we want to go, and instead kind of just doing something to just do it. So, a quote that stuck with me that I wanted to kind of start off with is, you can spend so much of your time trying to please everyone that you lose yourself in the process. I'm going to say it one more time. You can spend so much time, you can spend so much of time trying to please everyone that you lose yourself in the process. That was my favorite episode, y'all. When I say I felt so confident when I did that episode. Like, oh, I figured this out. And like y'all always say, I've been setting out for 3 seasons. In order for me to come up with a topic, it has to be something I'm relating to, something that's applicable into my life, or some type of situation I'm seeing arising. And that one in particular, I remember. It's so funny. I was mad at Trail, and I was like, you know what? I'm irritated. I need to find my voice. I need to figure out what I want to do. And I need to just let him know. And that was something that was always hard for me. So in this season of where I am, like I said, from dating him, I have learned a lot about myself that has helped me and is going to help me in my future. But one big thing of is like, people are not mind readers. And I told you all before, a thing with OCD is this, or a mind in particular, is just perfectionism. I always wanted people to look at you a certain way. Always wanted people to look at you as being perfect and not doing wrong by others. So in my mind, I've told myself like, but if I tell them no, they're not going to like me, or if I tell them no, I'm not being a good person, or I just want to be a yes, 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 yes man. And at that point, I'm like, no, and King, I'm not honoring who I am. Now I can say that, right? And even when I was recording that episode, I was finding my niche. Like, no, and King, like things seem to be better actually when I learn how to talk up and I voice for myself and I advocate for myself. But it took me a while to get there. And I mean, if any of my friends who know me, who know, even just a year ago, I will always tell this story because it was that real. One day, my friend asked me to come over, and I was so tired, right? I just had a day where I just wanted to go to sleep. It wasn't even really nothing going on. And it hurt me so bad that I went to her, no, y'all, that I cried as soon as I left her house because that's how bad I didn't want to tell her no. I still went. I wanted to be home by a certain time. I was out later. I ended up doing everything I did not want to do. And I literally sat in my car and I cried. And I called my best friend Alana, like, Alana, this gonna sound so weird, but I'm so tired of not being able to tell people no. So it's so personal for me. With learning how to talk up and speak up for myself. And it sounds childish when I say it to some people. Like, what do you mean find your voice? Like, you're not mute. We all don't understand it. Like, it's really deep rooted for me. And for a long time, I let people just do what they wanted to do, right? Not in the craziest ways, but even when you don't do it in the small ways, you're still not honoring yourself. And I'm thinking about it now. It's so funny. My sister was curling my hair and her music was so loud. It was so loud in my ear. I'm like, can you turn that down? And even things like that were hard for me. Like just going against or doing something different than what someone has done or has set up. That was hard for me. I will always be like, but this, blah, blah. But it's like, so now just to see myself be able to do that has shown my growth in so much. And anybody who has that problem of not knowing how to speak up for themselves or just kind of always being at bay, you get it. Like it's kind of like if you know, you know. Like other people, they be like, "Girl, I wish somebody would." I know this episode wasn't for you, but for those who are like, you know what, being, in a respectful way, I'm not disrespecting anyone, but just being able to say what you want, and even if you don't get it, at least you voiced your opinion. You know, you can hold people responsible for the things that are coming out your mouth. That was hella major. So I will always, always, always let an episode. And that's when I feel I was also getting into my other half of this season. I said I loved my season. I love my half of this season more than I love my first. So that's why I feel like I was really getting my groove back. Call me Stella. So I'm gonna kind of just get into it.
Hold on,
So
hold on.
okay,
First off,
what?
I want to give you your flowers.
Thank you.
And the reason why I want to give you your flowers is because I don't think that you peep, but
Mhm.
like you help people become better versions of themselves by just being you.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I like look inwardly when I listen to your podcast. It's always like how you keep that self inventory in check, and then you check the boxes to say, well, do I have this to give today? Do I have this to hold?
Yeah.
Do I have this? Do I have that? Do I have that? And that helped me grow. Like, you dig what I'm saying? Like, I'm a fan of this podcast. Right. You see what I'm saying? So you being you help people be themselves. And don't let that go over your head. You feel me?
Thank you. And I feel like, honestly, and it's so crazy because but kind of like, what do you have to offer? And it made me think about, like, in your eyes, like, what are your, like, initial thoughts on that? Like, what does a woman bring to the table?
That is, like, the lesson of 2023 for me.
Okay.
And the reason why it's the lesson is because, for me, I have always tried to become not only a protector and a provider, not limiting myself to being a protector and a provider, but being everything that I'm capable of when I need to be it. That's a lover. That's a friend. That's a confidant. That's a teacher. That's a student. That's a son. That's a father. And so me realizing that in my early 20s and trying to become that, I forgot what I needed. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Y'all, this episode, so Inside Two Worlds, Life and Relationships with Marley Marl, was my favorite episode I have recorded this whole season. Now, I want to say it's probably my favorite episode of my podcast career, period. I love the episode so much. One, because I love the way Jamal thinks. He's not like but we always like call each other like, okay, this situation. And to just hear it from one, a male and a black male, and a male who's self-aware. If I could have anything I would say that's not money on someone, I'd be like, what's something I want you to have? I want people to have more self-awareness. I want people to take accountability for themselves, and I want to see it in black men more. So he is someone who I feel like is a good example and a good exemplary of how to do that in a way that's real. You feel me? Like, we don't, for some reason, I don't know what it is, this like disconnect of like men realness or men authenticity, men without the egos, men like just being their true authentic selves. Like, it's, and being being black, we got to include being black. So it's just like seeing that, it brought me joy. I felt so at peace. That was my longest episode. It was an hour or two. And it was just like the flow was just there. Like, he's somebody who I would do, me and him, like, I could be, he always called me the brown skin Angela Yee. And I'm like, yes, like, me and him could have a podcast. Like, we could have a podcast. I could see it. Like, you barely meet people that you can relate to mentally. He's one of those people. And I feel like I wanted to have that voice on the podcast for guys here. Because I know guys listen to my podcast. And a lot of my podcasts probably are like women oriented per se, because I'm a woman and I'm talking about it. But I feel like all of the episodes are relatable. And he relates to a lot of them. He talks about them. So I'm like, I know if you like them, there's more people that needs to hear it. And this is good stuff. So that episode really got real. And it made me really look at relationships differently. And I wanted you all, when we were listening to it, was to think about, how do you identify love? How do you look at what you want in relationships? What does that mean to you? Not what society tells you to do, not what you've been told, but what does it look like for you? And think about your needs in terms of life and relationships. And in this season as a whole, if it's one thing I could say, or like one little segue for this one, I was thinking about, it's like, what are your needs and how are they met? And if they're not being met, then what's next to do so that your needs are met and that you feel fulfilled? And when me and him was talking, it was like, yes, this hit home. I feel like this episode was such a good segue because it was in that middle. And it was like, all right, I'm tapping into it. I'm deeper now into my dating life. And I think that was just a year before I made it. Me and Trey got to a year. So it was like really, really, really timely. And then he has a baby on the way. I think the baby shower should be coming up. So I'm going to have to ask him about that. But I feel like it was just so on time, especially with everyone looking at relationships. And then now it's funny thinking about it, y'all. I'm on this kick, actually. It's so weird. So last weekend, me and Trail, we went, I think it's my first time saying his name so many times too, like what the heck. I don't ever say it. I'm getting a little too comfortable. But no, we had went out of town. Yeah, we went out of town last weekend, went to Atlanta. And his friend and his wife, they invited us over and they cooked breakfast. And When I say y'all, it was like a light bulb moment. It was refreshing. It was beautiful. When I'm surrounded by it, just to be completely honest, a lot of people are sneaking and creeping. It's just the way of life. Maybe I should change my surroundings, but that's just what it is. From our music that we listen to, from the people we are around, even my own past prior situations, that just is what it is. And we've become accustomed to it. I even find myself loving the music that talk about certain things like that. And it's just like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, for a long time, even me, like, a relationship wasn't something, like, it wasn't a big deal to me. Commitment wasn't a big deal to me. More so just like I want us to have a foundation. My thing was always realness. You just be real with me, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, anything else, I can't control that. And when I went to their house, when we went to their house, they were just so nice. Southern hospitality, great spirit people. And I'm so blessed God gave me the gift of discernment. When I looked at them, I saw unity, I saw union, and I saw unconditional love. And I saw it from people who were not in the hype. I saw it from what people would consider quote unquote regular people, but I like to just say people who are not caught in the hype. People who are being their true, authentic selves and not trying to be in competition with others. And it was the most beautiful thing that I ever saw. And it made me really think about, again, and emphasizing this thing of be with who you are supposed to be with. You need to have and share life with someone that shares the same values as you, someone that understands you. Most of the times when we are unbalanced or we don't feel equally yoked, it's because we have people in our lives that are not supposed to be in our lives. Givers should be with givers and takers need to be with takers. So when we spend so much of our lives or do things that don't honor who we really are and try to get people to change or do stuff that's not really like us, we end up in situations that are not for us. And when I was there and I just saw that, it was like, wow. And we got in the car and I'm like, I saw a real union between them. Like, those are two people that are aligned with each other. And it made me look at myself like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, for like, wow. So it's like, at this point of where I am is so crazy, actually. So, so, so crazy. I'm finding value, and this season really in awe, but I feel like more and more and more, I'm starting to find value in a settled life. And right now, I don't even like that word settling. Settling just sounds like I'm going without something. I don't like settling for anything. But like I always make the joke, like if I'm a settle, then I'm settling for some J. Alexander instead of Ruth Chris. It's both good quality, but Ruth Chris is closed and J. Alexander's still open. So I'll say something like that. So that's like my idea of settling. But for real, all just aside, I'm starting to fall in love with a settled life. The things that really matter. Like, I don't go out that much anymore. And I'm not trying to like, oh, I don't go out. I just don't have desire to. Like, I'm not out looking for someone anymore. So it's different, right? I'm not that pressed to be at places unless I'm with him or something because it's more fun with him. Like, it's not the same with me just being out for hours. Like, I don't get drunk how I used to. So it's just like, I'm kind of just here after a while. Like, I literally go out for food and for music. Like, I'm that person. Like, I love it. You're going to see me at every concert. I love food. I'm always calling my friends and my sisters up to do something. But it's like being out to get attention is not my thing anymore. Because I feel like, honestly, when you're out and you're mingling, like, unless you're with friends, like, actually enjoy yourself, I'm a wallflower. And I know that's probably not a shocker, but I noticed that about myself. I don't dance. I don't do anything. I'm kind of boring. And I also hate that word, too. Boring. Ugh, I hate that word. But it's like, I don't do much. So I'm a wallflower. So it's just like, I get joy now, kind of like just being in his presence, but like still finding my balance where I'm like not so under him that I lose myself. But y'all get what I'm saying. It's just like the things that I like to do are different. And I feel like that related so well with their relationship. When think about like life and relationships, like now at this age of 26 and even in this season, I could entertain a committed relationship and want to be committed myself 100%. And again, I don't believe in perfect relationships. I don't think any relationship is perfect. But I can say I'm cool with like, okay, I can see the value of it now. That's what I'll say. So that one was definitely a favorite. And it was a fan favorite. That was my most viewed podcast episode for this season. So it was lit.
A lot of shit because I like to learn too much.
Okay.
And learning is doing. So it's no better learning than actually doing it. It's like if I watch basketball all day, if I don't go out there and shoot, I'm not gonna be good. I can
Right.
watch this shit all day.
Yeah.
I need to dribble, I need to go through my legs, I need to shoot a three. Until you actually do what you want to do, you can't get better at it.
And that made me think of like, we are in the era of the ebook era is what I call it, right? We'll buy every ebook that come out, every marketing tip, every this, every that. All you're doing is hoarding it. You're not using none of the information. Like, it's going to waste.
Yeah, I think we spend a lot of time learning. We should probably spend more time executing, even though it's expensive executing without knowing. But I think the what you gain from actually doing what you're trying to learn, it's only so much a book can tell you.
Yeah, facts.
Shout
out to Jean. Jean is one of my great, great, great friends, a humble beast. If we could say anybody who's doing it successfully and has the money to match it, we'll give Jean his credit. So talking cash with Jean. So it's so funny, y'all. That episode was the episode I was scared to drop. Because one of the things, like I said, one big thing of the podcast, this is not an entertainment podcast. Like, this is not a, we're going to talk about this cool thing, this gossip. No. This is very much informational. This is thought-provoking. This is realness. And I was like, I'm talking about money and I don't really talk about money. But it's funny because where I'm at, another thing, and if you're someone and okay, pause, y'all. Another thing I'm noticing too that I do a lot of, I've been talking a lot about love lately, and dating. And I hope it's not annoying, because sometimes it be annoying myself. But I'm at this point of I'm now doing something with intention. I haven't ever done that before. So I'm doing lots of learning during the process. So one of the pages I follow is called Dating Intentionally, because I'm trying to be more aware and more purposeful when I do things. And they were talking about this topic of money being taboo. So it's so funny. This episode actually went in a really cool way, but that's not the way I wanted it to be. I actually want us to talk about like money and relationships, but I'm like, okay, I really like in this segment, like it's starting to flow more, because I wanted to have another episode in season 4, like on actually money tips and things like that. So I'm still going to have that. But when we were thinking about like money and how to grow, one of my biggest things that I am working on, and I will tell people, about 5 or 6 years ago when I was in college with my BA, I always say I'm making my 6 figures by 28. And I want to tell you all, I am on course. I'm 26 now. I will have my 6 figures at least by 28 years old. And I can confidently say that now. So I'm so happy to say that. Like, it just feels so unreal, but it's the truth. And thinking about, okay, like, yeah, the money is cool, right? But the money management. And that's where I really, really, really want to hone in on for season 4, because I'm now going to be getting into a position where we're really going to see if I'm learning those money management things that we need to do, right? And if I'm executing, and if I'm really working smarter and not harder. And I bring that up because I want to talk more about the things we don't want to talk. Because one big thing on social media that's starting to be a norm, and I want to make sure I don't fall into it, or like y'all don't either, is this joking thing about the like broke and poverty mentality. And when I say broke and poverty, I should say impoverished mentality. It's this idea of not wanting to be disciplined, really is where it's coming from. And we starting to get way, way, way too comfortable with lack and lack thereof. And I found myself even doing it, right? Of course I did it. That's how I end up in my financial position that I'm in. But I'm really going to get away from that. And if you also, another page that I want y'all to follow is B word I'm budgeting. I don't like the cuss. But B-itch. I'm budgeting. That's like such a harsh cuss word to say online. But yeah, she's really good. She's a Black girl. And she looks at things totally differently. She's another of the things we don't want to talk about. Like, she's really good. She's so real. She actually was a teacher. She was making $38,000 a year, and she was so resourceful and talk about different things. So if you want to see someone like from a realistic standpoint of view, because sometimes I feel like, not knocking the entrepreneur world, but it's hard when some people have not ever had a job. So you don't quite understand. And also someone who hasn't had a career, and a specific type of career. So if you're someone in like that community world, teacher, public relations, I don't know, a good umbrella, but y'all know stuff like that, she's a good person to follow. And just even someone that shows the discipline. And another thing, oh my God, y'all, I know season 4 gonna be so amazing. I got all these gems lined up. Another thing I want to give out, I was talking to my sister. It's this show called, what is the show called? I can't even remember to show y'all, but it's this white guy. I'm trying to think of, he sends me so many emails. I know I can remember it, but it's basically how to create your rich life. So if you all look it up on Google, his name will pop up, but it's about how to create your rich life. And many times we always talk about like ways to save, ways to go without, blah, blah, blah. But I knew I couldn't save money for a reason because I cannot understand stuff with that type of mentality. What I can do though is think about what is my rich life and what is the life I would like to create for myself. And that's what I'm working on for season 4, which is major, major, major key. And like I said, when I said the episode, it's like tying into it because what I want you all to think about during this break point is maybe we could talk about this. So you all be like, okay, I done started thinking about my rich life. What are the things that you must have? Right? Everyone has their things. So I notice for me, it's always going to be that food. Ugh, it's something in that food, y'all. So addictive. I love food. Fine dining is my thing. I have to fine dine. I do not cook. I'm not that domesticated in that way. 1 or 2 meals a week, 3 on a good week. And I don't even cook. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, y'all. I look at Target, my orders. I cook maybe once every 6 weeks. And it's not even that I don't know how to cook. I just really is just time consuming. I enjoy going outside. So my white tablecloth is just amazing. So that's my thing. I like getting drinks. You know, I just like being outside. I think for me, it's like less even about the eating. Well, the eating is first, but just to being outside. So that is a big one. I like to travel. I like to do stuff but I also like things. So like my sister, for example, like I said, knowing your rich life, she's someone that will want something every single month. I'm someone who, as long as I get a new good thing quarterly, maybe a $2,000 to $3,000 thing, that will fulfill me. So like again, knowing your rich life. So that means, okay, if I can save during my off season, months, if I save during the off-season months, okay, save this amount, I'll be able to purchase a nice thing at least 4 times a year, right? That's more realistic. Now, what I really would like is like something every other month. And it doesn't have to always be a $2,000 or $3,000 thing. Maybe I could change it to like $2,000 or $3,000 things for that year and just small things in between. Finding ways to treat yourself more frequently stops this overspending. I notice when you don't take care of yourself consistently and frequently, you overdo it when you get the chance to, and we definitely want to stop that. So that was a good episode. Glad that you have talked about it. So we can really get into this episode. So when I was thinking about this episode, and even last episode, maybe I was talking about self-confidence and understanding of self. And in our world we live in, we know social media, the societal norms, everything that is more so like created. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of those people, I am not, how do I say this? I'm not the girl's girl. Mm-hmm. I'm not that girl. I don't do the trends. But it's like, if you were looking at me just on the outside, maybe it could appear that I would be, you know what I'm saying? But it's not my thing. So I found, and I was listening to a few of your episodes, and it was one in particular, I was thinking about how fitting into that gray area, right? Like that black and that white. Like, okay, I'm not this, but I'm not this. But it's like, how do I show up as my authentic self? And one of the things I had to work on in my early 20s was confidence. And self-confidence. And it's like, I'm noticing now as I've gotten older, it's like I'm not as confident on the inside as I am on the outside. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of things that girls are dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So it's interesting that you said that. So your last episode, you had Gene on.
Yeah.
Me and Gene went to high school together. He's been a very good friend of mine for a very long time. So when you talk about like who you are at your core, one thing that I love seeing from the feedback from my social media posts, people who have known me since kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, be like, this still sounds like you. Like, this is who you are. So like you said about the inside matching the outside, I feel like I'm very conscious, especially because the focus of my show is giving out advice. I always say about Ask Jen, I don't want people to think that I have all the answers. The answer that I give is something that I was confident enough to give someone else. And I want everybody to make a very similar choice for themselves. Whatever you are willing to put out into the earth as this is what I want, this is the type of things that I want to receive back, is something that you are able to stand on. And that's what I put out every 2 weeks on Thursday.
Yeah.
What I put out is what I have to stand on. And that's what I feel like is really important when you are talking about establishing that confidence. No matter how many changes happen in your life, who you become, who you evolve into, when that clip is able to play off, when somebody puts you on a Summer Jam screen, you need to either be able to say like, this is who I am and I meant it and this is why I meant it, or I've grown from this since this experience and this is why. As long as those things are true at your core, you will never be ashamed or be hurt or be embarrassed by anything that you have said or have done or have been put out to the public, simply because we are evolving beings. You are able to establish the fact that this is who I was and this is who I am not anymore, or this is who I am and I'm still that person now and this is why.
And and I think that goes back to of that episode. Jen is a gem. That is a $1 billion brand in the making in the human flesh. Oh, I love it. I mean, seriously. Like, JG's going to win and I'm going to win because JG's going to win. And it's just going to be just a domino effect. But I have, y'all, when I say that's kind of up there with my favorite episodes. She's my favorite person I have. I would like to say interview. It wasn't an interview. I would say I had a conversation with. I have been wanting Jen to come on the podcast, but our schedules didn't align and they finally aligned. And I was so freaking happy. I love her confidence. That's a big one that I feel like we definitely going to bring it to season 4. It's so funny. So making a connection to season 4, I just got my new devotional. I finished the last one and this one is on confidence. So if you also need a thing, I'm leaving out some resources, kind of hold down the fort while I'm gone, is what is her name? Joyce Meyer. She's really, really, really good with her devotionals. She is a Christian woman. She's a white woman. She has really great devotionals. And so that's my new devotional that I will be starting today. I told y'all, like, my years don't start from January 1st. It start from whichever period I'm at. So I just go from August 21st and then I'll finish it. That episode there and really just tying into, I think this one went really, really, really good with finding your voice. That confidence. I feel like at this point here in August, going on September, I am confident. I feel confident. I talk with more confidence. And I started to notice it more when other people say it. So you know how people say, oh, it ain't about what other people say, but it is in a way. When people can validate things in a way, it lets you know what you are doing. It may not always be true, but it at least lets you know what you are putting out and what or how it is appearing to others. So when you think about confidence and carrying on with you, think about how are you showing up as your true self? How are you doing for you? And are you doing it in a way that aligns with your core? I really liked when Jen said that, right? So think about it. Are the things you're doing aligning with your core, where you want to be, and what you say you want the life for you is? So that was a good one. I really like that. I tried to have a more open mindset. So with that being said, I wanted to go into our new episode 9, and this topic of giving yourself what you need. So as I'm thinking about like 26, I officially been 26 for 7 days now. And really one of the biggest things that's like my focus is like getting away from myself. How do I say this? Well, my reassurance from others and instead going into the route of self-validation. And that's something that's really big for me, being that I'm someone that is breaking free of my OCD and also being someone who wants to be more sure of myself and confident in myself. I literally have cards in my purse right now. It's so funny where it's like in Kinge, your worth is not measured by how someone treats you. It's not measured by what someone does for you, but it's the measure that you put on yourself. And that needs to be at the highest, the most worthiness. And for a long time, I was scared to be boastful. And I'm still not a boastful person because that's not in a humble spirit, but confident. I want to say this is who I am and I'm proud of that. Not because someone has labeled me that or because I'm unsure and I want to sound sweet. I want to feel it in my soul of like, this is who I am. And this is who I am because of my character and my integrity and all that makes me who I am. So in terms of like giving myself what I need, I've kind of drawn to this place of like, what are those holes that are in my life? Or what are those things where it's like, in Kinge, this is what you need to really fill yourself up. And I wanted to cry listening to this episode, y'all. Just hearing those words, knowing myself. I feel like I have grown so much, and I'm not just saying it, I'm living it now. That one really touched me, especially with my worth is not, what did I say? My worth is not validated by what others give me or how they treat me, right? I was cleaning up my classroom, when was this? Yesterday. And I always write myself notes. Like, I'm like, when I say y'all, I'm the queen of awareness, like it's just me. That's gonna be me. I'm gonna continue to push it on other people as well. And I wrote one card, it was like, when the time is right, it's all going to make sense and I'll find out my answer. God to give me my answer. I wrote that on April 11, 2022. I had to pawn my chain in November and I had to write a note on my sticky thing. And it was like, and Kinga, your chain does not validate who you are or what you have. And for a while, I was getting caught up in because I don't have my things, I don't have my place, I'm not able to shop and do how I used to do and have all my disposable income. So I'm not that person, right? I'm not worthy. But I had to get out that mindset of like, Kinga, it's not those things. And that's why you don't have them now, because you needed to know that. Things do not make me. Like, my things do not make me. I am still in Kinga. I'm in Kinga nothing. If I was sitting here in the skin that God gave me with my birthday suit on, right? It's about what's inside. My morals, my character, my integrity, that's what makes me who I am. That's the light that people love. People don't look at me like, oh, that's the girl that got that place on River Place with that NK chain and she got a new bag. I can imagine no one says that. Like, no one said that ever. That's all in my head. That was made up. But I started to live like that. And not even saying I got so caught up in materials, because not that I have so many materials, but I got caught up in what I thought they brought me and how I looked at myself because of those materials. So now when I regain, I won't look at things as possessions or things that own me and all. You know what I'm saying? I look at them just for what they are, and I look at me most, you know what I'm saying, with the respect and the honor of who I am, not anything else associated with that. And that episode was last episode. So now that this is episode 10, this is our grand finale. If I was a crying person, I probably would cry right now. I am so proud of this season. I'm proud. I'm happy. I'm just joyful, honestly. I want to give a shout out to JG. JG is like the one human, one of the few humans that are not related to me, that knows me. He knows me so well. Like, JG knows me so well. He knows me like the back of my hand. I couldn't even imagine having another person. It's so funny. I was watching a Babyface Ray interview, and they was like, oh, why are you still with Empire? You know, you so big now. And he was like, why would I change up? Like, they didn't ever do anything wrong to me. They're always there. Why would I lead the home team? And that's something like, why would I ever lead the whole team? Like, this is the home team. And it's so crazy, even from our first podcast to now, I'm sure if he could give a testimony, if he could have a black room, he'd be like, this. But I just want to say thank you. Like, through it all, like, Audio Wave Network has really been home. So for those who are listening, that is where I shoot my podcast at. Audio Wave Network, we on the east side, where it's the best side. And I really love it. So if you want someone real, understanding, flexible, a place that is comfortable, a place where you can create your home or your thing for podcasts, this is a great place. But we also love great content. So be sure that you have something to bring. So I would say season 3, we had a ball. We was 3 for 3 for for the guests. I ain't ever did that. I have visuals now. I did that. We still striving. The waves, what they say, the waves don't die. Waves don't die. So I'm thinking season 4, I'm not going to put a month on it, but I'm thinking probably like October, November, for real. School about to get started, going into my 4th year of teaching. What else? Yes, 4th year of teaching. I'm almost at my 5th year, y'all. By the time I talk to y'all next, I should be talking about my new job I got, I'm happy about. And we still rocking, we still rolling, we still talking about the things we don't want to talk about. Until next season, with so much love and unconditional love. Until next time. Bye.